Hello, Dr. Vicki Peterson here. I wanted to talk to you about a new condition that's starting to get some play on television and on iPads and things like that. And they call it BED, binge eating disorder. And usually when you hear about kind of a new condition, very soon afterwards you'll hear about the new drug for the new condition. And sure enough, I did a little investigation and there is a new drug being purported to handle this problem. It's interesting, if you see the commercial, they actually show a pizza being consumed piece by piece, and then beneath the pizza is a picture of a brain. So saying you're binging on food, but it's only the fault of your brain. So then, therefore, they have a drug for you. And it's not far off that your brain is dictating binging. That's a real condition, and please don't get me wrong, I'm not arguing that point. The point I am arguing is that you should take a drug that is a federally controlled substance because its addiction tendencies are so strong that it can really lead to abuse and dependency. It can cause sudden death and stroke, so sudden death from a stroke, from heart attack. It can worsen the behavior or thoughts that you went on the drug for. It can create bipolar disease that you never had before. It can create new psychotic symptoms such as seeing things that are not there, hearing things that are not there. This is all on their website. Hearing voices, having manic symptoms you've never had before. Not a drug that I think we're going to rush right out and get. Hopefully you look at the side effects of drugs. But what's real is the fact that people can binge eat. This particular syndrome is not necessarily associated with bulimia or anorexia. They're separating themselves from that because, of course, they have a new drug in which to treat it. But let's look at the root cause, right? That's what I'm about. What's the root cause of these symptoms? And it was interesting that they showed the pizza, right? So it was a pizza with pieces of pepperoni. And I thought, actually, that's not far off. So you have gluten that can create gluteomorphines in the brain. You have the cheese on the pizza, which is known to create caseomorphines in the brain. And all these foods will do something I'm about to explain. And then you had your pepperoni, loaded with lots of different chemicals that are known to cause inflammation of the brain. So they weren't at all far off in in their decision to show pizza as a binge eating food, but it's the drug, it's the promoting of this such dangerous drug that's so far off the mark, because there is a root cause of binge eating. So let's look at what that is. If you have a gluten sensitivity, it can really manifest in a number of different ways. It can affect the body in 300 different ways. But for many people, they have that uncontrollable feeling, I have to have more gluten. So of course that can be in the form of bread and pizza. It could also be in the form of cookies and cakes. So for me it used to be brownies, but that's another story. And but it manifests. So we know that gluten affects the nervous system very often exclusively, so not necessarily digestive problems, but it can affect the nervous system exclusively, and even if it later affects the digestive tract, it often affects the nervous system first. So you can have these manifestations of the binging and the uncontrollable desire and eating of these types of foods, and that's a common thing that occurs because the gluten actually creates a chemical called a gluteomorphine. Gluteo just means the gluten part. The morphine is a morphine-like chemical that causes you to actually have a feeling of what morphine does, is this like, oh, everything's right with the world, I'm okay because I ate my gluten. And then as the gluten starts coming out of your system, your body urges you, eat more, like, you know, like a drug addict. So you get that craving and that binging that can occur because of this gluteomorphine chemical that is secreted for you. The good news is that you get off gluten, and it doesn't take that long for your body, just a few days actually, which is fabulous, for that chemical to stop being secreted, and you no longer have that tendency. That's a lot safer than the side effects of this drug I just mentioned. I think you'd agree. Now, on the dairy side of things, there's casomorphine, exact same type of response. That's, I need my cheese, I need my ice cream, I used to have all that too. I was definitely a binge eater in my 20s. I didn't know why, but I did have a gluten sensitivity. I did have a dairy intolerance, so obviously I'm off both of those foods now. And I also had a hormonal imbalance that many women have, which I'll get to in a couple of minutes. But all those things put together, and you can really get the binging, the strong desire that you just have to have foods. And patients in the past, because I've been doing this for so long, they're like, no, you were never like that. And I go, okay, so here's the scenario. You're driving home from work, or you're driving home from, this point I was still in school, so you're driving home from school, and you know you have some dessert in the house, but the idea that you might run out is enough, even though it's late and it's cold out and it's the winter, makes you veer to the grocery store to get some more fudge-covered brownies so that you know you have enough, right? That's the thing that's going through your head. And so as I said, yeah, that's the way I used to be. And I would relate that to a patient, and they go, oh yeah, you get it. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So I really do understand what that's about, but it's not because I was destined to be that way. It was really that I was eating foods that were triggering a mental, neurological response that can be untriggered by not eating them. So, I mean, obviously, it's all the root cause phenomena, or the root cause intention is what is the real cause? What is driving it? So I'm giving an example of two foods that very much do that. There are certain chemicals like MSG that will do the same. Artificial sweeteners are known to affect people neurologically speaking. So you could have a diet soda addiction, you know. There's a lot of different things, but they are prompted by these chemicals, and the response it's having in your brain is not really you and how you have to be, okay? Lastly, I did want to mention the hormone, and this affects women more than men because they don't have as much of the hormone progesterone. And when you're deficient in progesterone, you can have things like PMS and headaches and heavy cramping, bleeding. You sometimes can have some fertility issues. Definitely have that emotional kind of PMS-y anxiety kind of thing, because progesterone is, I like to call it the mellow feel-good hormone. So when you have enough of it, mood is very stable. But it's very, very commonly deficient in women in our country. And one of the things it does is it stabilizes your blood sugar. So when you don't have enough progesterone, you'll have erratic blood sugar, and you'll crave that sugary type of thing. So if you have kind of a binging that you do, and you can get a little out of control, and you just sort of have to keep eating, understand that there is a root cause to this issue. It really is an issue, but there is a root cause. It's a natural solution, and please, for goodness sake, do not fall for these commercials and this new drug they're pushing, because I mean, there's a lot of dangerous drugs out there, but this one pretty much kept me up last night. It was so upsetting when I read all the side effects. So let me know if you need help. That's what we're here for. Our clinic's in Sunnyvale, California, heart of Silicon Valley. So we're here for people who live locally, but also patients come to see us from across the country, around the world, and we work with people. They have to come once to get examined, but after that we can work with them long distance, and we do that a lot. So please let me know if you need any help. We can do a free phone consultation if you live a distance. We can do a free in-house consultation if you live locally, but reach out. That's what we're here for. And it was a pleasure talking to you today, and until next time, I wish you very good health.